Hey, thanks for joining me. So the other day I got this lens in the mail. It's a Lumix 14mm f2.5. And you've probably, if you've been into Micro Four Thirds for very long at all, you've probably seen reviews of this lens. It's a pancake lens. You can see how really super thin it is. It's just really, just tiny. And despite that tiny size, though, it's a pretty sophisticated design and is known for producing really excellent results. So it's 6 elements in 5 groups, which is a fairly complex formula for just a single wide-angle lens. But the thing that's really noteworthy about it is that it has 3 aspheric elements. Okay, so what's an aspheric element? Well, most of your lens elements are just, the curvatures they have are just part of a radius. They're just curved, right? An aspheric element actually has not just a regular curve, but the radius actually changes as you get towards the edges, so that the lens actually kind of looks like it's kind of flattening out towards the edges. I don't know if you can really see it. When you look at this, you probably can't see it in camera. When you look at this lens and you're holding it and just looking at, the front of it, you can actually, when you're looking at it with your eye, you can actually see that there's something funny going on there. It's not just rounded, curved surfaces inside. And there's, aspheric elements a long time ago were really hard to produce. And today, modern, manufacturing technology makes them easier to produce. And it used to be pretty noteworthy when a lens had just 1 aspheric element, but to have 3 is pretty amazing. And that's, a lot of why this lens has such good performance. If you look at the performance of this lens, if you look at a review that has like an MTF chart, you can see the resolution. It looks like it gets its best center resolution between around f4 to 5.6, and same thing for the edge resolution. But while the center resolution is just really kind of really high, past the excellent level into, a really high level, the edge sharpness at between 4 and 5.6 really approaches real close to the excellent level. I know those aren't numbers. Some test charts show numbers, and some just give you a good, very good, excellent kind of rating. But the fact of the matter is, this lens is noted for having really excellent performance, and it's fast enough at f2.5 that you can even do some nighttime kind of, low light kind of stuff with it. And Panasonic on their website talks about it being good for landscape, for street photography, for night scenes, for, it's a pretty versatile lens. And at 14mm, it's equivalent to, of course, on Micro Four Thirds, a 28mm wide angle lens on a full frame or 35mm film. So it's really, like I say, just a popular lens. A zillion people have reviewed it. It's one that I've kind of been thinking about buying for a long time. And the other day I had been looking on eBay, and there's a place in Oregon that had one for $199. And I'm like, man, that's, it's about what they're going for. You can buy them out of China much cheaper, but, you got to wait for it to come out of China. And so I put that on my watch list in my eBay app, and a few days later they dropped the price by $90. So they dropped the price down to $109. I'm like, okay, that's really pretty cheap. I'm going to go ahead and buy that. And their shipping was really low too. So anyway, went ahead and ordered this. Been out shooting it and looking at the results, and I'm really impressed with the lens. I have on my kit lens, my 14 to 42, I have 14mm, and it performs decently. It's not bad, but I really thought that having a 28mm equivalent or 14mm lens that had really excellent optics, prime lenses typically outperform zooms if you get right down to it. The inconvenience of having to change lenses, of course, is one thing. And some of today's zooms get really good. They really absolutely are excellent. But unless you spend quite a bit of money for a pro level zoom lens, typically your prime lenses are going to outperform your kit lenses. And I'm not one that really pixel peeps and looks at the tiniest detail or whatever, but like any photographer, I want my images to be sharp when I want them to be sharp. Sometimes it's really not that critical, but when you want a sharp image, you want a sharp image. The other thing that's kind of noteworthy about this thing is its close focus distance. This thing will focus down to 7.1 inches So that's what I was doing, is shooting some close-ups. I was literally taking my hand and steadying the camera and putting my pinky on the the front edge of the subject, so I'm photographing literally that far away, and that's probably pretty close to 7 inches or thereabouts. But it focuses very close. It's not a macro lens, but it's what's really fun about a wide angle lens is that you can focus something up close, and even though the background isn't that soft, it will still be small enough and reduced in size enough, being far away in a wide angle lens, that it's isolates the subject just by size relationships. And at f2.5, if you shoot your pictures at f2.5, it's very sharp in the center. You can shoot things up close at f2.5, and you can throw your backgrounds nice and soft. They'll get pretty soft. And matter of fact, Panasonic even mentions that on their website. They talk about being able to do that. So, it's really, not an extraordinary focal length. A 12 millimeter be a little bit wider. I've been thinking about, should I get a 12 millimeter? I have a 10 millimeter, so kind of on the other side of that, I've got wider. But this was such a good deal, I decided I couldn't pass it up. Anyway, let's take a look at some of these images. I'll kind of walk you through these images as we look at them, and, you can see what you think. I would say that, this is an excellent lens to have in your kit. Even if you have a focal length covered on a zoom lens, sometimes, you want something really compact. This will be great on my EP5 or my EP1. If I still had an EPL5, that, much smaller, this would be really great on it because it's so tiny and compact. I mean, it really just doesn't hardly stick out of the camera body at all. But anyway, having some fun with it. I love wide angle lenses anyway. Let's look at some pictures and we'll catch up with you after that.
Okay, let's take a look at these images. So I had a subject in mind this morning that when I got there, the sign on the building wasn't lit. It's still dark, and it should have been all lit up, and I don't know, it just didn't work out. So I went downtown. There was some light cloud cover I thought would be really pretty once the sun started to come up, and we'd get some nice color on those clouds. And so I ended up going downtown and setting up near this little lake that's just on the south side of downtown. And I like this picture. This was one of the first ones I took when I got there. The reflections off the water are kind of nice, and I don't know, it's okay. It wasn't really kind of what I was looking for. I was hoping I'd get some more color in the clouds, and I took a few more pictures, and it kept getting a little bit brighter, and I thought, well, I guess we're just not going to get any color on these clouds. So I went and got the dogs out of the car, and there's a dog park right there, and nobody was in it. I really don't like using dog parks if there's other dogs there, but this one was empty, and so let the dogs run around in there, and I'm watching them a little bit. I look up, and the sky now looks like this. It's like, okay, well, I was impatient, I guess. So I didn't have the tripod with me, but I just ran out there, left the dogs in the dog park since they were by themselves, and ran out on the sidewalk and grabbed a few more shots. And I like this. It's the color of the sky is really pretty. Um, and so I took a couple pictures there, and then I look over to the west, and the sky now looks like that in the west. And I'm like, wow, I should have found something east facing where that would be my background. And maybe, I did that laundromat thing last week, but maybe that much um, color in the sky would be something more of a distraction. I don't know, but boy, the sky was really lit up. I'll try again tomorrow morning. We're supposed to have similar conditions in the morning. We'll see what it looks like. Then a big cold front comes through, and it won't be as pleasant. But anyway, so then just decided to go out and about downtown and take some pictures. And I should make note that the 14 millimeter f2.5 version that I have is the original version, not the Mark II or the second version. I understand optically they're basically identical, but there may be some improvements in autofocus on the newer one. I'm not sure. There's a lot of discussion online about which one is which and which one may be better. And I think the consensus is they're really optically identical. And so anyway, shot a few more pictures. I love using wide angle lenses for these kind of pictures. They're really just fun to do, and you can have a lot of fun with them. Went a little further into downtown and And a lot of Christmas lights and stuff still up because, it's just after Christmas. So I took a few more pictures there. And I learned a lesson last year. If you don't use a slow enough shutter speed, these lights are actually blinking on and off at a pretty high rate. And if you use a fast shutter speed, some of the lights will be off during your exposure. It's really kind of weird. So I made sure I used a slow enough shutter speed to capture the lights. And this little building is something I've always been kind of fascinated with. I keep looking for the right way to shoot it. This little building is surrounded by two much larger buildings, and I just love that juxtaposition of the small versus the larger buildings. And I don't know, I've never quite taken a picture of it that really, to me, gives it justice. Someday I'll do one I really like. But and there's this Coney Island place. Been there, I don't know, I think since the 30s or 40s. It's been there a long, long time, and supposedly one of the best places to get a hot dog. And it's really popular downtown. They have another place in a part of the city called Capitol Hill. Both of them are really popular. If you like well, there it is, since 1924. So the place has been there a long time, and still a very popular place to go and get a hot dog. And then I shot some close-up stuff, and you can see looking at these leaves that the lens is just really sharp. And it's one of the things I've noticed about all the pictures. There's just really great detail in the images. And this is shot wide open at f2.5, so you can see the background's kind of soft. It's not super blown out. It's a 14mm lens, but still you can soften the backgrounds. And all these leaves on the ground start to make kind of a distracting background. I would probably not use this lens for this kind of thing normally. But again, I was just trying to show you the image quality at f2.5. This thing is it's very sharp. I mean, I don't know how much more sharpness you could ask for out of a lens, but this really does a great job. And I was getting the dogs out of the car, and they saw something as I opened the car door, and had the camera hanging around my neck. It was still at f2.5, and I didn't even look through the viewfinder. I just held the camera up and snapped a picture. Um, and I don't know, it's just kind of an interesting shot. They're both looking at something down to my left. But if you zoom in on this, the autofocus did its job. It nailed the focus. And I mean, you can tell it's at 2.5 because Riley's a little bit soft. But Charlie's in focus. The depth of field is real shallow. Of course, you can see the background is pretty soft. So it definitely, you can get that separation of foreground and background without too much trouble. And it's a great lens for quick grab shots. Got a lot of depth of field, and I think that's one of the reasons I think it'd be great for street kind of photography. And then I took this picture just to kind of illustrate. Again, you can see I'm at f2.5. Background's pretty soft. We have a sweet gum tree in our front yard. That's what those leaves are. And they produce these balls. They're seed pods. We call them sticky balls. And they're like ball bearings. When they fall on the sidewalk and you step on them, they just roll out of underneath your feet. They're really hazardous. But you can see the detail in this thing is really incredible. And yet, this leaf is relatively in focus. This sticky ball, which is just a few centimeters in front of it, is, very soft. And of course, the background is. So, again, you can get that foreground background separation. If you shoot this thing wide open, you can create that, even though it's a 14mm lens. If you stop it down, of course, being that focal length, you're going to get a lot of depth of field. So it's a very versatile lens. I really enjoyed using it. But that's all the pictures.
Okay, well, I hope seeing those images was helpful. I love wide angle lenses, and maybe to a fault. I sometimes think that the wider the better, but this, the 28 is a focal length. I said 28, it's a 14, but it's 28 equivalent. But that focal length is a focal length that has kind of stood the test of time. Just about every camera manufacturer has made a 28. And while that may make it a bit too common in terms of its look, I still think that it's a very useful focal length. And I think if used creatively, your pictures don't necessarily have to look like, people are going to just, oh, that was taken with a 28 and dismiss it. I think you can do some very creative work with it. The other thing I kind of noticed with this is the rendering of the images that this produces is really nice. When I read about this lens online, there's some people that mentioned that it created a kind of a separation between foreground and background, especially when you shoot it wide open, that gives you almost that kind of 3D pop that you would expect from maybe a larger format. I haven't really done anything to try to reproduce that, but that's something I'll be looking forward to trying to do. So far, though, I think it's just a great size lens. It'll be fun to take around and shoot. I think if you're doing street photography with a, like an EP5 or an EPL5 or any of the Pen series cameras, because they're smaller and lighter, I think it'd be a great lens for that because it's just so compact, Anyway, I hope some of that was helpful. If you're thinking about getting a very compact wide-angle lens, then this might be the thing. If you put this on an EPL5 or even an EP5, there's a lot of people that are buying street photography cameras that are digital cameras that have a 28mm lens, maybe a full-frame sensor, and using that for street photography. But I think you could do very well with one of the Pen series cameras and this lens out on the street. I think it'd be a great combination. Anyway, I hope some of that was helpful. If you have any thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment. I always love hearing from you. And again, thanks for watching.